Good evening to all of you, our cherished viewers of Eye on the Seat on TV3 and our listeners on 3FM 92.7. Now, with 30 days to election 2016, the campaign is definitely heating up. Of course, there are cases in the court, and we know that Hassan Ayaga has also been given a chance to actually, rectify the errors that he made. But this evening on Eye on the Seat, we're focusing on issues on the campaign trail. How are the political parties campaigning? What are the responses of Ghanaians? How are they receiving the messages of the political parties? Of course, we'll also be focusing on the debates before the election. We are told that the NPP says they're not interested in a debate for now. You know, the president had earlier on thrown a challenge for a debate. This evening, we asked that question: can we have a debate before election 2016? We've all enjoyed the American debate. There are many of you who have said, okay, so Hillary Clinton won all 3 debates. Others who said Trump had won. Why can't we do the same? When we return from this short break, I'll introduce my guest, and then we'll begin discussions on Eye on the Seat with me, Winston Amon. Welcome back from the break, and thanks for staying with us. Eye on the Seat, sponsored by TV3 Network Limited with support from Star Ghana. Star Ghana, strengthening transparency, accountability, and responsiveness through transformational national development and accountable public services for all Ghanaians. Now, my guest for this evening from my far left, Michael Quay Jr., who is Deputy Communications Director of the NPP. Susan Aduamankwa is Vice Chairman of the Convention People's Party, CPP. And then Peter Otokono is Deputy Director of Research of the NDC. Gentlemen and lady, good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Winston.
I hope you're doing very well.
Very well, thank you.
Good. So let me start off with you, Peter. How's the campaign going for the NDC?
The campaign has been going very, very well. I think that you have been monitoring the president, the vice president, the chief of staff, the general secretary, the national organizer, and various other teams are on the ground. We have made a point that this year's campaign is a campaign that really focuses on reaching out to the people. It's all about the people, and our party and our philosophy actually drives on how to, connect with the people. It's a grassroots party, so when we have campaigns like this, we try to shelve the fanfare a little. Perhaps we blend the two. You would see a little fanfare with the huge numbers that gets frightening sometimes to the MPP. And you see us going into the homes, you understand, to talk to people. Now, a key feature of our campaign has been that when the president goes to any other region, and he's doing the interactions with the chiefs, he's doing the interactions with the clergy, doing the interactions with the churches, the students, and so on and so forth. There are actually themes that also follow and move into homes, as part of the campaign tour. As we speak, tomorrow the president will be going to the Ashanti region. He's going to start from New Edubiase, then he moves to Adansia Sokwa, then Adansia Krofum, then he moves further down into other constituencies till Monday. It's going to be there for about 4 days, but as it stands now, the itinerary clearly shows that we are really entering into the heart of the elephant, to cause damage to the heart of the elephant. Anytime we enter the Ashanti region, it's something else.
What is something else anytime you enter the Ashanti region?
Just recently, when we did some small regional lunch in Ashanti region, it took the MPP to organize a quick meeting, an emergency meeting of their parliamentary candidates to discuss how they can diffuse that, because they think that the NDC is making serious inroads in Ashanti region. I was there for 1 week, and I couldn't believe what I saw. These are things that under normal circumstances you will not see in the Ashanti region. I've campaigned in the Ashanti region several times, and I have never seen the Ashanti region so resolved to support and vote for President Mahama like we are seeing this year. Why? Because President Mahama has been able to meet the needs of the people. If you look at the Ashanti region is mainly a commercial zone. Okay. And it actually forms a commercial zone of this country.
You know what, Peter? We'll definitely give you another chance to talk more about your campaign. But let me get to Susan also, then I get to Michael Quay Jr. Susan, how's the CPP's campaign going?
It's going well. The campaign teams have been going out. Our parliamentary candidates have been working hard. Of course, we don't do the fanfare. We cannot match the parties with the fanfare, but we can match them with the sweat equity and walking to homes and giving people our messages. And that's what we've been doing, meeting them in the marketplaces, meeting them, in the town halls, meeting them, one-on-one, going to their homes and selling the message. So we've been doing a lot of that. You know, and we hope that our message is touching the hearts and the minds of the people so that they actually vote the way they've been voting for the last 24 years. So it's a lot of hard work, but we are not afraid of hard work, and we are doing it. I think it's going very well. Of course, given our candidate, we seem to have a new constituency who are very supportive of us, and they have come out in their numbers. It's amazing, you know, that the persons with the disability have been fantastic. You know, they have seen one of their own, and they believe that a change in their lives will happen with somebody who can relate to them. And Green Street not only relates to them, but he relates to all of us. I mean, in different ways. And people, you know, looking at that and taking it very well.
Okay. Michael K. Jr., how's the MPP's campaign doing?
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak on your program. I'd like to start by saying a good day to you for hosting us, and to my sister Susan and my brother Peter on the other side as well. The MPP, our campaign is multifaceted. One of the things we realized quite early was the fact that we were strapped in terms of funding. So if you've noted, one of the biggest things that we've put out at present is to do with the Adopt a Polling Station. We wanted to do a retail campaign. That's what we started with. And we realized that it would be difficult if we didn't have the funding on the ground, because most of the people are asking what is going to happen on the election day itself. So we've gone into an Adopt a Polling Station mode. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it, and we're encouraging more Ghanaians, because so far the response has been huge, unbelievable. The Yibima concept, Jemwe Kokan, you want to give something small to support so that the party is not in the hands of a few haves who bring in big money and therefore make big demands afterwards, if by the grace of God Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo wins and the MPP as well. So this has been the first part of our campaign, trying to get the people interested in us financially to support. Then also the message in terms of what do we do. You know, in 2012, in the northern region, for example, we're able to move from 3 seats to 10 seats, which was a huge jump. And so we are going on even further. Dr. Bawumia is making a lot of strides in the northern region. In the Volta region, to be honest, there were areas which were, of course, illegally so, but demarcated or zoned unofficially as no-go areas. But this time when we go, we speak to the chiefs. Togwis 3 is one, for example. They tell us, look, there's nothing like a World Bank here. You are free to talk to our people. Some have even gone to the extent saying that the chicks are ready for the hawks to catch so that they can catch them if they want to. Most importantly, they've told us about jobs, that they have no jobs in the Volta region, and that their citizens have resorted to prostitution, armed robbery, and many other decadent and degrading jobs which youth with hope, youth with aspirations should not find themselves in. And so we have now presented an alternative to the Volta region. And some of the young people in particular, they tell us that, look, unlike some of our predecessors, we are not born into any party. We are not lobbied into any party. We are prepared to listen to who has a better vision. So if you notice, we've been focusing on the Volta region, for example, so that they can have a very good message as to what the MPP wants to do to make their lives better than it is at present.
Okay, so how are the people receiving your campaign message? You've talked about, yes, when you go on, you're telling them you want to create jobs for them. How are they receiving the NPP's campaign message?
To be honest, enthusiastically. A lot of people are not just listening and going home to think about it. They are listening and excited. They are happy. They are seeing hope. Because the bottom line is, and I know that, of course, when you are in it, we have suffered that in 2084. it is very difficult to see the hopelessness of Ghanaians at present. And that is why they want change. Now, there are various opposition parties who are offering that change. And so sometimes the government feels swamped that everybody else is looking at their seat. But we all know that an easy lies ahead that wears the crown. And so if you are in a position, everybody is talking about what they can do better than you if they were to replace you. So they are really receiving our alternative message as well, especially when it comes into areas like jobs, which is a big problem. When it comes to areas of energy, we all know what Dumso has done. I know we'll go into those details later. Into areas like agriculture, which is one of the big areas that we are speaking to the youth. And they are very excited with the one district, one factory concept, which is going to give them the avenue for them to take their produce, which of course is tied to the one village, one dam, and also the one constituency, $1 million per year. So with these catchy things, we've been able to get their interest. But let me just end by saying this. One of the things that we've done very differently this time is we didn't want to bring a manifesto of, here is the book, chew, pour, pass, and forget. 2 weeks, 1 week, 1 month to the election. You know, in the UK, for example, the manifesto comes out about 6 weeks to the election. So we strategically wanted to roll it out like a syllabus, where we were introducing Ghanaians to the various multifaceted aspects of it, so that you see that now people are able to regurgitate the things in our manifesto and talk about it or even swallow it much better than before, where the focus was just free SHS. So this was one of the strategies that we used for this election, and we think that it has worked to a T.
So Peter, I mean, Mike says that Ghanaians are receiving their messages very well. They've been very enthusiastic, and so the assurance is there that come December 7th there would be a change. How are Ghanaians receiving your message?
Listen, first of all, I mean, it will surprise me if the NPP thinks that Ghanaians are indeed receiving their message, when they are coming from a background where we just saw what the NPP did some 8 years back. We saw how insensitive they were and how they were not even concerned or sensitive to the plight of the people. I would be very, very surprised if anybody would think that, I mean, all of a sudden the NPP have changed, especially with the current crop of leadership in the NPP and the way they even run their party. I hear my very good brother talk about the fact that they are financially constrained, so they are changing their strategy for their campaign and all that. Yes, indeed. It's clear that, I mean, political parties, sometimes funding become problems. Even as we are in government, we also have problems financially. But when you have the case whereby you are doing fundraising and monies are supposed to be given to constituencies and the monies do not go and nobody accounts for it, and when a national chairman or general secretary talks about it, it turns into something else, it becomes worrying. I recall this 25,000 that was supposed
so let's look at how Ghanaians are receiving your party's message.
And it turned into something else. They had to sack general secretary and chairman and all that. But be that as it may, I think that messaging and delivering of the message is very, very important in campaigns. So our campaign has been, a message-driven campaign since the president was re-elected as the flag bearer of the party. We have sent our message down, and our message is very simple. President Mahama has been the president for 4 years, and we have tried as much as possible to meet about 80% of our manifesto promises. We have tried as much as possible.
Imani says you've met 53%.
I mean, that is a very defective, analogy they did there. I had the occasion to, punch holes in that report on your station. So clearly, it tells you that if anybody would go to the polling station to queue at dawn to vote for any president or any candidate at all, one key thing that will drive the person is how best your policies and programs are going to change their lives. How best are your policies and programs going to affect them? Are they having water? Those in Adenta who were not having water for the past 8 years, the NPP were in power, are now having water. They open their taps, it's flowing. Those in the villages like Boakon and so on and so forth around Wenchi who did not have electricity, now they do have electricity. If you check the records, when the NPP was leaving office in 2008, the total coverage of electricity in this country was around 53%. As we speak, it's around 82%. It's actually one of the highest in sub-Saharan Africa. I think that is impressive. That is significant. All those in the villages who were not, having electricity, they could not even have the pleasure of drinking an ice water. Today they are drinking ice water. Those who were not having potable water and they were sharing the streams with the cattle and so on and so forth. Today they are having, decent water to drink. You go to somewhere like Brekum. For the past few years, they have been struggling with water. They used to have this small water, in the center of the town, which, was supplying a few people. But because the town was growing and development was coming in, they started struggling. Today, for the people of Bichim, for the people of Brekum, they have water flowing in excess of 40 million gallons a day. And I think that is very significant.
Thank you, Peter. Finally, so I get to Susan, yes.
Yes, before I wrap. For all those who are living in communities like Dodowa, and when somebody is pregnant and the person is in labor, they would have to struggle to travel long distances before they get, to a maternity home. They are having an ultra-modern hospital now. And those are the things that they look at. Lives are being protected. Lives
Susan,
are being changed.
Thank you.
Lives are progressing.
Thank you, Peter.
And that is what it counts.
Thank you, Peter.
That's what
yes, let me see. Let's find out how the CPP's campaign is doing. Yes, you've talked about how you're going about it, but how are Ghanaians receiving the campaign?
To be honest, that Ghanaians are hospitable people. It's very rare that you would enter into somebody's home and say you want to give your message that they will turn you away. You do meet, those people. So as for receiving the message, I guess we can all say that yes, they are receiving our message well, because it's very rare. I mean, especially for a party like CPP, to go into a home and say, I'm from CPP, it's the people who are fighting each other. I guess in certain areas, if you're a known NDC, you probably can't enter into a home where they are known MPP and vice versa. But with CPP, you can enter into an NDC home, you can enter into an MPP home, and you will not have problems. So, given that, people are welcoming and would like to listen to your message, I can say that yes, they are listening. They are, you get a lot of encouragement. People will even want to share ideas with you on how to actually get your message even further in their community. And so you see that a lot. I mean, it's a very good reception. It's heartwarming. So, what we hope and pray that they will make that leap of faith and be, adventurous and audacious and say we will move away from these two parties because we have seen the broken promises, etc., etc., and then we will give it a vote.
That's what you want to see them doing. But
that's what we want.
In speaking with them, do they tell you, okay, so we're fed up with the NPP, we're fed up with the NDC, and then you're going to support the CPP this time around?
All the time. We hear it all the time. I mean, that, we are fed up with these two parties. And they go and say, so we want you people to come up. And I said, I always say, the only way we can come up is if you support us by giving us your vote. We will not come up. We will not win if you say you like us and go and give your votes to either one of them. And that is the reality. You vote for what you get. And people ought to realize that, they cannot say they like the CPP and then go ahead to vote for the NDC or vote for the MPP. If everybody who says they like the CPP is voting for the CPP, we will win. So we try as much as possible to tell them that a wasted vote is not a vote that you give to the CPP. It's the vote that you give to the NDC and their failed promises. There is the vote that you've given to the MPP and you've seen what they have to offer. It is time for you to move on. I mean, when somebody says that, water is flowing in their taps and everything, it is their right. They have the right to clean flowing water to good sanitation. It is not something that you should be trumpeting. We tell them that, like, okay, so you have water flowing in your taps. you are a citizen of this country.
Okay.
That is what is supposed to happen to you. From the taxes that we pay, that is how it's supposed to be. So you want to live better, the people have done it.
Finally.
But you see, but when you also talk to people, they say, okay, they have increased coverage from 60-something%, what did he say? From 53 to 82. But when I don't have money to pay for the electricity, one, the electricity may not come at all because of the doomsaw and the thing, and when it comes, it is not affordable because they don't get enough money to pay for it. So you've increased coverage in terms of the infrastructure of putting it there, but the people cannot afford it, and then when the electricity is they can afford it, it doesn't come.
So finally, do I sense that you're being cautious in your expectations? Yes, you're going and people are telling you, oh, we like the CPP, but like some politicians will say, you're cautious, you don't know what will happen at the end of the day.
You see, we are working towards a certain result. That result is having Green Street in the Flagstaff House, but we also know that we have contenders, and so we keep that at the back of our mind. But it doesn't stop us from the focus. And we want to prepare to, as we go around, to also let people look at us as a government in waiting. However, we are also with with the reality that the MPP and the NDC, we have to fight for it. So obviously we will be cautious, but it doesn't take away from the fact that we are working towards that objective.
So let's look at the battlegrounds now. I mean, Michael Oke Jr. talked about the fact that you have been to the Volta region. I mean, the reception received in the Volta region is doing so well. The NDC also says, well, they've been to the Ashanti region during their campaign launch. They had a crowd that actually got them to review their votes from 1 million. They said they were targeting 1 million to 1.5 million. The NPP also says they reviewed their votes from 30% in the Volta region to 50% in the Volta region.
No.
Well, I mean, I just read Peter Amawu in a press conference just yesterday, saying, well, that's what Peter Amawu says now.
What we have officially said is 20%. Some also on rally grounds have said 30%, but we've never talked about.
Well, I have heard Peter Amawu just say now that because of the crowd he's received,
maybe a sense of euphoria that I don't know what he said.
So that's 30%. You're targeting 30% of the vote.
Officially, we have said 20, and let me tell you why. The MPP, the most we fluctuated in between is between 12 to 14 point, almost 15%.
Yeah.
So realistically, we've always been around 15%. So if we were to get 20% from the Volta region for this election, I'm sure you'll be able to tell that a 5% jump is a fantastic result for the MPP. So that is what we've announced realistically. But yes, if some people have mentioned 30% and so on and so forth, it is their wish. Maybe they hope that we'll get that. But realistically, a 20% jump would be fantastic. Now, moving on to the issues that have been mentioned here with regard to some achievements in electricity and so on.
Yes, just look at that and then I get back to the battlegrounds. Yes, since you want to make a reaction to that, go ahead.
Yes. For me, I think that government should always understand that there's something called continuity. And when you try to take credit alone without giving some to your predecessor, it brings a problem. Now, with regard to this extension of the rural electrification, we all know the Exim Bank facility on the 16th of September 2008 for 344 million. And in 2008, President Mahama was not the president. So if this money has come in at that crucial time and it has been used to extend our electricity from 50-something% to 70-something%, you shouldn't tout it as your success alone, because somebody else like the Bui Dam and many others before had already laid those in place. And if in fact they had continued with the good energy plans of the MPP as announced by Dr. Dufo in 2009 in his speech to the World Bank and also the budget in Parliament, we would not have had Dumso, because everybody knows we handed the country over to them after 3 years before we had Dumso. Now with water, the biggest metropolis without any water in the country was Tamale. Since independence, we took water there. We took water also to Cape Coast. She would know even better. So I'm surprised, and I rightly agree, that we are making this a mediocre election by just talking about water to Adenta, that small area, and so on and so forth. Please, let us give the Ghanaians a certain measure that is of a high standard, where the bar is so high that that is where we're looking at in terms of the election. But moving on to the question which you really wanted us to answer, which you asked all of us. What are we telling the electorate? What are we saying that we can do to make their lives different? The MPP is very focused on changing something in this country. And I like to tease the CPP. You know, sometimes the CPP, they like to give us all this, oh, when we come, we'll do this. But we know CPP too, they had serious struggles in this country, even up to 1965, 64, and all that.
When you guys were nipping at our heels, we can go into the history.
Don't worry, you would have your time. You would have your
we
time.
can do the history.
Yes. No, you have your time. Go ahead.
The history of the CPP in terms of development of this country is unparalleled.
Susan, hold on.
So you don't want to compare Kufuor's 8 years with Nkrumah's time.
Hold on, Susan.
You
would have your time.
So I think that
you'd have your
when they were
time.
throwing bombs, yes.
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead, Michael.
I like this to be a fact-finding program. Because as for Tokono, he can make allegations of bomb throwing, but not Susan. Because we all know that when the Van Leer committee came up and President Nkrumah himself supervised that trial, the people who were jailed for that were Adam Matthew, Crab, and the others.
That's true.
They were all CPP people.
That's true.
Not a single MPP person. So as for Tokono, I can forgive him. He's young, he likes propaganda, he can go on that tangent.
I will not take that.
But I'm saying
I will not take that.
Okay,
No,
then
I will
let me
not take that.
rephrase
You
it.
have to quickly withdraw
Let me
would
redraw
have
it.
to
Let me draw it.
Yes.
Let me redraw it. He can go on that tangent because most of his people have been using that as propaganda. But as for Susan, she's old and wise enough and of CPP to know that Adam Matthew, Crab, and the rest were not MPP members. So that bomb through.
No, we're not going into that.
We can go into that.
Susan, hold on. I would definitely get back to you. Susan, you know
at
what?
a certain point,
No, Susan, hold on.
Let's talk about some of the people that were
Susan,
It's my turn.
were
It's my turn.
CPP.
It's my turn.
No, Susan, hold on.
They threw the
They
bomb
know.
when they
Michael,
were.
okay, go ahead.
Yes.
No, Susan, hold on. I would get back to you. Susan, Eduamankwa, I would get back to you.
Well, exactly.
Go ahead. No, hold on, all of you.
Yes.
Michael, has
I'm
the floor.
saying
Yes, go
that
ahead.
our antecedents were the Opechabi Lamtes, Danquest, and so on. They were in prison even at the time.
So you
And
move on to
they
the issue you're
died
dealing
in
with.
prison.
Yes.
So
They did
they did not throw them. Oh, also you, Tokona, I told you that you cannot go in there because you don't know.
So you go ahead with your submission.
In any case,
I can read.
oh yes, thank God you can read, but then maybe you should read more. But the issue is simple. Look, the MPP has a different agenda. What is our agenda?
Tell me.
Our agenda is that a lot of things are not working in the country at the moment. One of them is the fact that if you look at the economic indices, they are totally poor. From debt to GDP, to inflation, to interest rate, to exchange rate, everything that the NDC inherited is poor. Of course, all they want to talk about all the time is infrastructure. Infrastructure is a good thing, apart from the fact that they told us it's a sign of mediocrity. But you cannot take $1 million for infrastructure that should cost 500,000. It is right. It is wrong. And let me give you an example. The African Development Bank, they gave a report in 2014 that the average amount to build a road in Africa per kilometer of asphalt is 600,000 to a peak of 800,000. But in Ghana, under the NDC, it is not $1 million. It is $1.4 million. That is $600,000 on top what we call chobo. So if that is the case, how can you put $600,000 chobo on every kilometer of road? So every 10 kilometers of road, $6 million pocketed. That cannot augur well for this economy. So for me, the infrastructure agenda should be put aside because it looks like it's an avenue for people to fleece the country of our hard-earned foreign exchange and loans.
All right, thank you, Michael. Viewers, we'll go for a short break. When we return from the break, of course, we'll also be hearing from Susan Edoamanka, who is Vice Chairman of the Convention People's Party, and Peter Otukono, who is Deputy Director of Research of the NDC. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break. All right, so welcome back from that short break, and thanks for staying with us. This is Eye on the Seat on TV3 and also live on 3FM 92.7 with me, Winston Amana. Eye on the Seat is sponsored by TV3 Network Limited with support from Star Ghana. Star Ghana, strengthening transparency, accountability, and responsiveness through transformational national development and accountable public services for all Ghanaians. Okay, so before the break, Michael Kwejina was talking about what the NPP would do and what you as the NDC are doing, and which doesn't augur well for the country. Your response to that before I get to Susan? Yes.
Well, Winston, I think that it is very interesting that all of a sudden the NPP have turned themselves into quantity surveyors and they have a price for everything, but they know the value of none. Indeed, we were in this country when the NPP were ruling, and we saw how they did their things. They spent a whopping 71 million Ghana cedi on Ghana's birthday, just to say happy birthday to Ghana. And that time we had a lot of problems. We talk about water because water is life. Indeed, if we have been able to produce water for the people of this country, we need to mention that because it's important. If water is not important again, we don't have to talk about it when you do it. If electricity is not important again, we don't have to talk about it when you do it. If jobs are not important again, when you do it, we shouldn't talk about it. Then what else are we campaigning for? Why are the NPP and the CPP struggling for power? What else? We are all campaigning because we want to transform the lives of the people. And these are some of the few things that you do to transform the lives of the people. Let me give you a few statistics. Perhaps that will solve Michael Kwei's problem. In 2001, total urban water supply was around 50% of the entire country, 51%. In 2008, when the NPP were leaving power, total urban water supply was 58.5%. So something around 9%, improvement in the water. For 8 years of staying in power, what were they doing, Jesus Christ? For 8 years. Now, let's look at what we have done between 2012 till now. From 2012, it was 63%. So under Professor Mills, the 4 years of Professor Mills, or even the 3.5 years of Professor Mills, we were able to move it from 58.5% to 63%. That is very significant. And just within 4 years, 2012 to 2016, now total urban water supply is 76%, from 63 to 76%. This is unprecedented. We have never had this kind of improvement and growth in water supply in the history of this country. We have never had that. And that happened under President Mahama. And you are saying you shouldn't talk about it. Now, let's talk about rural water. Rural water is also significant because most of our rural folks, they don't usually have access to water. They struggle with salty water and all that. Rural water supply in 2001, when the NDC was leaving power, it was around 41%. Now, from 2001 to 2008, the NPP were able to move it to 56.5%. Now, between 2008 till now, it's 76%. I think that is very instructive. Susan, I think this is something that we must talk about. Because for the rural folks who are in Bunkurugu, who are in Yoyo, they care about the quality of water that they drink. If you and I are going to get pipe-borne water in Accra, and we are drinking, we are looking fresh, you sit on TV, we look fresh, and you don't want them to drink same, you want them to be infested with guinea worm, it is not surprising that now we have been able to reduce guinea worm infestation to ground zero. Under the NDC, when we came into office in 2009, guinea worms infestation was all over. It was a big issue. Every day breaking news. Guinea worm infestation here and there. As we speak, because of the expansion of water coverage, guinea worm situations are very hard to find in this country. I think that is most important. We have to talk about it. Now you talk about electricity, and you say that, we have expanded electricity to almost everybody in Ghana, but the electricity is not available. Those watching us, who are aware of how regular they get electricity, or when was the last time they had light off, or the last time they had doom so, they will be laughing at you, because they are seeing a government that has been able to move this country from a state of doom so, as it started in 2006, to a state of sustainable electricity supply. And now they are able to run their businesses, they are able to create jobs.
2012.
No, in fact, Dumso actually started in 2006. I recall in 2008. No, please, I'm coming.
Hold on.
No, please, I'm coming.
Hold
When
on.
I recall in 2008, when we were campaigning as part of our major plans for this country, when led by Ato Ahoy and Co. We took the blackboard and we said that if we are able to add so and so megawatts almost every single year, we'll get to a point in time where we would be exporting a lot of energy and we'll get industries.
Good. So let me just
to get enough energy.
set this in that in 1998 we had challenges with power. At the time we had to go 24 hours off, 24 hours on. In around
Even in 96.
Hold on, yes.
we had it.
Around 2006 to 2007, during Ghana at 50, we had challenges with power. By 2008, 2009, we didn't have challenges with power.
No.
It came back, hold on. That's fact that we could all find out. By 2012, we had challenges with power. So that's just by way of clarification. Go ahead.
Yes, I agree with you that we had the challenges from 2006 to 2000 because I recall vividly that it was a campaign issue. You understand?
Yes.
Now, it came back somewhere in 2012 because, one, we had issues with drought. Then Akosombo was not producing. Then the Bui Dam that we had constructed, invested huge amounts of money, was also not producing. We had to resort to, this thermal plants. And that is the only option. Our argument had been that if the MPP, the 8 years that they were in power, they were able to do some additional extra hydro, not hydro. They focused somewhere else. And they were able to produce at least even 100 megawatts. We wouldn't have had the problem that we had in 2012. But then, it took the NDC within a matter of 8 years to be able to add close to about 1,000 megawatts. And we are still counting. By the end of 2018, we would be hanging close to 5,000 megawatts. And that will mean, that will be producing in excess of about 2,000 megawatts. When you say you want to do golden age of business, you want to grow businesses, this is what you do. You are able to produce beyond what you are consuming so that industries, heavy industries, manufacturing industries, metal fabrication industries, and all that would be able to tap into that excess energy that you are producing. And that is the vision of President Mahama. When we say we are transforming Ghana, when we say we are changing lives, this is what we are talking about.
Thank you. Peter. Yes, Susan. So you've heard them. They've talked
I've
about.
heard them.
So from a CPP perspective,
I don't want the MPP to be attacking us, but because we can do that. Look,
you want to do that?
I will do it. When we talk about one district, one factory, and the MPP make it look like it is their idea and it is a new and innovative thing, I laugh. But it is only because a lot of us really don't know the history of this country. But Nkrumah did it. I mean, look, why did we have the Abosu glass factory? Why did we have the Jude factory? Why did we have Komenda? Why did we have the Pwalungu? Because at that place, Nkrumah looked at the natural resources of that place and put an industry up so that people will benefit from it. It is no different from trying to put another name to it. Because you are not just going to put a district, a factory there, just for the sake of putting a factory. You are going to look at the resources there that make it possible to put a factory there so that it's sustainable. So, look, from a party that takes our ideas and runs with it, and then they come and they want to come and take us on. Look, the last campaign, free SHS, going on about free SHS. Go and look at what free SHS means to CPP. We have said in our manifesto from way back, even before the MPP thought about it, that basic education should be up to the secondary level. And so we took basic education right from primary school to you finish SHS. And we have said that basic education should be free. So when they go and they use it as a main campaign message, and because the CPP, we believe that if it is good for Ghana, and even if it is our idea, and somebody is running with it, and because it is good for Ghana, we let it go. It doesn't mean that we are fools, and so, it is a deep love for this country. That when we bring ideas that have worked before, that have helped this nation to move forward, and somebody wants to run with it, we keep quiet and allow them to run with it. Let us not go about wanting to attack each other. As much as we all want the seat, I would wish that our focus will be who is on the seat now, and focus on that than squabble among ourselves. Because we would want to sell our message. all of us and let the Ghanaian people know. Look.
Well, that's why you're on eye on the seat. We are all keeping an eye on the seat.
The NDC.
As you keep your eye on the seat, yes.
Can put vinegar in our mouth and tell us as much as possible that it is honey. We know what we are eating and we know what we are feeling. If you ask the common person on the ground whether their quality of life has improved, they will tell you no, it has not.
Really?
That is true. Look, this is any country worth its salt depends on its growing middle class. Okay, and that is growing and growing. If you pick a middle class person now and you ask them that is their life any better than it was 4 years ago when they voted for the NDC, they would definitely say no.
Really?
Why is it that for the first time in this country we saw middle class people take up red bands
Are you talking about
seriously and go ahead into the streets? You see, because look, normally the middle class, whether it's NDC or MPP, their lives don't change radically, okay? So they can make the intellectual decision of choosing one of them. The thing is, as soon as you begin to touch their lives, and they realize that the quality of their lives is going down. You ask many of them, middle class people, he probably has a driver, he probably has a house help, he probably has a watchman and a garden person.
Okay.
They pay all those people. They give them gifts. If their life goes down, the quality of life for all those people that they employ also goes down.
Okay.
Look, last Christmas,
yes, finally,
I was able. I have I usually give gifts to the people who do little jobs for me. Last Christmas, I was unable to do that.
You didn't have money?
No, I didn't have money. And when you talk among a lot of the middle class people, a lot of them were unable to do the things that they do for the people down there. So when you talk about the quality of life, if it affects the middle income people, it affects the people down there also, because a lot of the things that we do affects them.
Good.
So you cannot come and put vinegar in my mouth and tell me that it is good.
On the contrary, it is not as bad as you are putting it.
We need to move on.
It is even worse than I'm putting it.
We need to move on.
Because the middle class has doubled. In fact, it has tripled in the last 8 years.
Yes, finally on this issue, Michael Quay.
Of the growth of the middle class in this country.
The growth of the middle class may be in terms of numbers, not necessarily in terms of percentages, because our population is growing. No, you see, look, if we were 100 and the middle class population was
annually at 2.5%.
Please. Well, look, we all can throw these
okay, so then I need to get to Michael Quay Jr. finally.
Let me finish up.
In 30 seconds, you need to finish this one.
And level, the middle class was 2. That's what, 20%. Then we become 20, and we go to 4. What has the percentage changed? The numbers have changed. Okay. But has the percentage changed?
Okay.
So don't tell me that the middle class is growing because the numbers are growing.
Good.
It is because the population has changed.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. Yes, Mike, finally on this bit.
Yes.
Before we get to issues of debate, yes.
Yes, let us look at this quickly and go. I mean, the CPP have brought in some ideas with regard to one district, one state factory. We are not doing state factories. We are doing private-public partnerships because the state factories didn't work. And in fact, that was the reason why the NDC government...
The CPP cannot own it alone.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And what happened eventually was that the NDC government came and sold most of them. They sold virtually all the state institutions.
PNDC.
Well, but we all know the antecedents. They talked about, they were trying to even link bomb. We know that wasn't the truth, but they pushed it there. So I'm saying that the bottom line is that, yes, it is a good idea that they brought, and we have changed it to become more public-private partnership. We believe that that is the way forward in terms of employment in this country, because it is the best. Now,
I agree.
When it comes to the issue of energy in this country.
Finally on that bit, yes.
Oh, I mean, I can't be just restricted.
No,
give me a bit of time.
You started on that bit, that's how come he came in.
Oh, so no, this is my third bite to the cherry.
Okay, you go ahead.
They've spoken 3 times. This is my third bite, yeah. The issue is that the MPP government went to Brazil and we went to get a loan. I've forgotten the exact amount. And we were going to build more hydro on places like, I've forgotten the name of this, the PRA. there was one at Ankobra, there was one at, I think, Dwale, and so on. When the NDC came, they went to Brazil and converted it into roads. When they came into power, you know the Trinidadians, there was a gas plant at Bonre. They came and changed it to Atwabo. Everybody says that because Mr. Bua is from Atwabo. So they wanted, it's a fact. It was moved from Bonre to Atwabo. That delayed the gas processing by 3 years. So all of these things are what contributed to do so. So if you have not planned properly to make sure that we don't get into this energy crisis that has created all these problems in this country, I don't see why you would go around blaming people. In any case, very prominent Ghanaians like Togbe Afede, who we all know is an ardent supporter of your party, has said that, that's an open fact. We all know that. I know Mr. Afede and all that. And he has said that one of his biggest problems is that the NDC has become a business killer. In effect, when you translate it, they are killing businesses by their policies. And that their policies are even affecting, one, his gas plant Asogli. You know, that was something that the NPP government is who encouraged it. And because of their policies, Asogli is not working. He also said he's come with a laudable idea to change the Osu beachfront. I don't know if you heard all of this in the media. And he wants to change the Osu beachfront into like a Miami beachfront. The NDC government is not envisaging. They are not visionary enough.
Work already. Agreements have been signed.
No.
He's working there.
Allow him.
No, he's not
Surprised
working
you don't
anywhere.
know.
Well, then why is he
Surprised you don't
complaining?
know.
And he's complaining bitterly
No,
that the
I'm
NDC
not.
government are not visionaries when it
not
comes to
regretful
things
that
like
you
that.
don't know.
But I want to
The marine
remind...
beach front. It's even in the manifesto.
Please.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I want to remind my brother that, you see, you cannot run a government where most of the time we have a lot of problems in terms of money. We don't have that much money. The little money that we have, you are not managing it well. I mean, look at this issue of bus branding, for example. How you mismanaged that. I mean, you can raise your hands in the air, but that is money that could have been used to do a lot of things.
Money's retrieved.
He is the one talking also
retrieved.
about Guinea Worm. And yet, when they promised Ghanaians that they were going to clear the country of filth and gave us a time, 100 days, what did we rather get? Cholera. NDC, we have not had cholera in years, almost 20 something years. And yet, under the NDC, we had cholera that killed hundreds of Ghanaians. This one too, you cannot deny. The issue is simple. The NDC government has failed, and today I've learned a new expression that if there's vinegar in your mouth and somebody tries to tell you that it's toffee, I've learned that expression and I shall
From
borrow
Susan,
it. Yes, and use it
Okay.
accordingly.
We need to be moving
but
on.
the vinegar that the NDC is pouring in our mouth is just so bitter. I mean, this is not apple
Okay.
cider vinegar.
So we need to move on to the issues
let
of
me
the
just
debate.
land
Yes,
on
in
this
30
because-
seconds,
yeah,
so that
30
I
seconds.
get to Susan
So
on the debate.
I will just say one thing to Ghanaians, that look, the NPP has been tried and tested. They came in at a time where we had HIPIC. The NPP moved the country from HIPIC to lower middle income.
You took Ghana to him.
And if no, we took
Wrap up on that
we
bit.
took HIPIC
I need to
because
get to
Ghana was
Susan.
already HIPIC. In fact, you know the secret. If the country is not HIPIC, you don't qualify. IMF will not allow you to be branded as such.
All right, Michael, thank you. But just by way of clarification, yes, you talked about, over the period of the NPP rule, there was no addition to hydro. When
the Mines Reserve plant.
When Mr. Rawlings left office, Akosombo was 912. By the time the NPP left office, it was 1,020.
We added another 180.
I just wanted to add.
Retrofitting.
Retrofitting. I just wanted to add that bit so that those who are listening and those who are watching also
there was a retrofitting
can learn from
after
that.
2006.
Let's get
Oh my
to
God,
you,
no.
Susan,
That's
now.
most-
By way of debate, you say the other parties are scared of debating the
ridiculous.
CPP.
Definitely. I mean, I don't know what their problem is. As for the CPP and Ivor Green Street, we are open to the debate all the time. But I think this is what is happening. I mean, the NDC is trying to run down the IEA. The MPP are waiting for the NDC to say they are coming before they jump on and stuff like that because they think it's between them. Look, the debate is is going to be not just about who is on top of issues, but it's also going to be about the personalities that are involved. I think that you know, the NDC, you know, President Mahama as himself probably knows that he comes across as the nice guy, the guy, you know, your next door neighbor who's likable, and so he feels that he will come across nicely. But his party also probably feels that, well, that's not where they're going to get their votes from, not necessarily from the elite, but also they get their votes from the rural people, so the debate is not necessary. With the MPP, you know, they probably are waiting for the NDC to come, but they know that their candidate will not come across in the same light as nice and amiable, etc., etc., etc. So they are also hedging.
And with the CPP?
The CPP, everybody knows who Green Street is. I mean, Green Street can move between the different groups of people and be comfortable. If it is the people down on the ground there, you know, he's fine with them.
Okay.
If the people are up there, he speaks.
Our time is up. We need to be wrapping up.
So for them, you know, it's become a hedging job. But we want to see
you want to see a debate.
We want to see a debate. We want to see how people will answer issues.
Good.
We want to see their demeanor when they are given the questions. We want to see their demeanor if they are able to exchange and question each other. But I think that they both realize that they can't match the CPP. They won't
Peter,
fare out.
Susan says you can't match the CPP.
Yeah, how I wish we had enough time to explain.
We don't have enough time, unfortunately.
What Mike presented, but be that as it may, the debate. I think that if we are going into a debate with Anado, this will not be the first time. We have done that before. We floored him. He was very miserable in 2012. And,
you think?
And President Mahama, even before the party decided that we will not engage in the IEA debate, had said that he wanted a one-on-one debate with the MPP, so that they will come and do that. They are fictitious quantity surveying pricing thing there, so that we do a fact check, and that is where you can do the fact check.
Why didn't you accept the
question,
IEA debate?
No, we can question the credit. It's not the IEA that is the only institution that can conduct a presidential debate.
They used to conduct it in 2012.
If the elections command center of TV3 wants to do a presidential debate, President Mahama is all for it. He has called for it. He has repeated, and he is still calling for it. What has happened is that the MPP are running away from all kinds of debates. In fact, when the NCC started their parliamentary debates, their parliamentary candidates were engaging. When the president made the final call and they said, oh, the Nanado will not engage president, all of them started running away. Now they are not even doing the NCC debate. But you see, the point must be made.
Finally, yes.
The point must be made. But that the people of this country deserve a thorough, independent, fair assessment of the candidates in front of camera. And we make the point again. We want a presidential debate. If the MPP are serious and they want the mandate of the people, they want us to vote for them, they want people to vote for them, they should come into that debate. Green Street is ready.
If the NDC say today, they go to IEA and say, hold the debate tomorrow.
We will not go to IEA debate or tomorrow. We know that the IEA, we know the bias.
They are saying one thing with their
mouth, and they are doing another thing. Hold it. We know the bias of the IEA.
They are not biased.
We have decried the bias of the IEA since 2004. We have decried that bias. This year we took the decision. I recall that even in 2012.
Of the IEA.
Susan, I'm coming.
Susan, hold on.
It's not about. Is it about the fellows? Is it about the fellows? Is it about the fellows?
Hold on.
Susan, you are not helping me.
Susan,
you are not
we don't have enough time.
Yes, Peter.
I'm begging you.
Finally.
You see, so we have decried the bias of the IEA, and
running away.
We want any kind of debate. You can even call market women randomly from Makola and invite the president and any other person to a debate. And the president is ready. All that we are saying is that we are not ready for a biased or fair debate from IEA. Simple.
Thank you very much, Peter.
When the last IEA moderator became your what you call it, Minister of Health,
and the other moderator became a parliamentary candidate.
Hold on.
Then you talk about bias.
Hold on.
I mean, that's serious.
Yes.
How can you be
hold on, all of you. I need to get to Michael Kwe Jr. Mike, finally, are you prepared to
ask Professor
do a one-on-one debate? Hold on, Peter. Hold on, Peter. Mike, is the NPP prepared to do a one-on-one debate with the president?
Issues not in this.
But Otokono should take his time. He's shouting in the studio and all that. I mean, let me talk. Relax. So the issue is simple. This is what we call running away, nobody tanedo. Can you imagine the arrogance of the NDC to say President Mahama has called for it? Called for what? There's a platform already where President Mahama, do you remember the last time he tried to dodge it? You remember? The NDC.
We nearly.
Hold on, Peter, hold on.
You remember they tried to dodge it?
In 2012?
In 2012.
Yes. We didn't want
Yes,
to.
President Mills wasn't going to be part until President Mahama came.
Yes, and then President Mahama too said it was not going to be part. And then later on, he changed his mind. The platform already exists before President Mahama became president. So he cannot say he's calling for a debate. And as for him, if it's NCC, he will go. If it's TV3, he will go. I'm coming. I agree with the position of the CPP. The platform already exists. There's no need for you to start giving conditions that as for you, you won't go. And you won't do this, and you won't do that. If you know that you are genuine, and you want a genuine debate, the people who have the track record, and that is very important, of doing debates in this country, this would be maybe the fifth or so debate. Well, you can call it whatever. You were saying that you flawed Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Everybody saw otherwise. Now? So if all of a sudden you won that debate, why are you afraid to come back there? A debate that you have won before, and you even chose a minister out of that. And you see, I want to explain to him the difference. Do you know you sitting here today, all of a sudden one day you can come and say you want to be an MP for NPP. And I will never even know that you're an NPP member. It's different. But if I, as president, come and choose you, that one, there's no discretion. The woman was chosen as a minister of state. We have no problem with it. No problem. But we are saying you cannot then turn around and come and call an organization where you went and chose your minister of state from as biased against you when she was a moderator. It's not fair.
But Prof will tell you today that she's not
I'm on the floor when you are talking.
And in this, she's not NDC.
Okay,
so I disagreed with you. So let me continue.
Yes.
I'm saying
wrap
that,
up.
yes, please. I am saying that the president cannot start showing signs of arrogance by calling for a debate. He's calling for what?
Or rather,
I mean, no, he cannot call for anything.
I think that is a sign
The
of humility.
platform, no. The platform will rather call him. The platform, yes, because he comes to talk to Ghanaians on the IEA.
So if he accepts the IEA's platform, would the NPP?
Thank you. That's all.
Why has not gone to the
there.
evening encounter?
Oh, no.
That one is one-on-one.
No.
IEA one-on-one.
No.
Evening
Hold on.
encounter. They have invited you.
Understand.
Why
So
haven't you gone?
Let me explain.
Finally,
You
we
must
need to wrap
answer
up.
that.
First
Yes.
of all, you didn't go for
You
the
must
IEA
answer
encounter.
that. No,
This
we
is
have
it.
Hold on,
decided that
hold on,
no
Peter.
Are you the
with IEA.
moderator?
Hold on,
This is
Peter.
what this behavior there is
Yes,
not acceptable.
Michael Quay.
The issue is simple. We spoke to the IEA and said, we will do our encounter after the launch of our manifesto. You remember? Okay. And so our manifesto wasn't launched at that time when they were doing. Remember, we shifted the date and we agreed. But we realized certain things were going on. So we decided to shift our strategy to release our manifesto later. Unfortunately, it coincided with the IEA program. But we are not going to allow IEA program to determine the launch of our manifesto.
IEA is
That
still
is
waiting.
a simple.
IEA is still
Anyway,
waiting for
That
you.
is
Are
a
you ready
simple,
for the encounter
finally,
tomorrow?
hold on, finally.
And by which time, because of the timetable of our campaign, the encounter
There you go.
was not conducive for us.
There
Okay.
you go.
But
Finally.
the simple matter is this, and I want to just land on this. The president of this country cannot arrogate to himself the power to call for any debate. We are not going to dance to his tune. We are not going to follow the lead of the president. He has no right and control over debates in this country.
Indeed. He has the right. He's a
Thank you very much,
No, then he
Michael
must
Quay.
sit
But
somewhere.
finally, Michael Quay Jr., now with the APC winning its case against the Electoral Commission, the Electoral Commission at the Supreme Court, there are many who have said that election 2016, the 7th December date might be in doubt. Do you see the elections being shifted? Of course,
No,
constitutionally we cannot, but
Not at all.
not at all.
Because,
Susan,
because
yes.
no, not at all. And let me just give a simple reason. You remember that initially, the MPP, and I don't know if Susan is a member of IPAC, but it's one of the things we proposed. We wanted the 7th of November because we felt it will allow, just in case it was a second
We don't have
round.
much time, do it briefly.
Okay. But when we realized the timetable of the EC, and these were the 2 and 3 most crucial things. One, the transfer of votes. 2, the proxy votes. All the things they had to finish before they give us a register. we realized that it wouldn't go with the regulations as to the amount of days. I think 45 or 60 days. Which one is it? And so we felt that it should go to its original date because the EC was not ready. Look at all the confusion that's going on.
Okay.
If it were going now at 7, well,
Michael,
we made a determination.
Michael
There's nothing wrong with
that's
that.
what time would allow us.
There's
Susan,
nothing wrong with that.
finally, do you think the election date is in doubt following all these court cases?
I don't think so. I think that the EC chairman has said that she's given her timetable to the CJ, and the CJ, has assured her that they will deal with cases expeditiously so that we don't. So we keep our fingers crossed.
Okay.
Finally, yes. In one breath, I am exceedingly excited that APC is coming back and PPP is on board. In that vein, when we are able to secure our one touch, it will be supermassive. Because you know these people, their base comes from the MPP. So we are happy that they are back. I was worried that the PPP and the APC and other parties.
Peter Otukuno, Deputy Director of Research of the NDC, Susan Eduamankwa, Vice Chairman of the CPP, and Michael Kwejian, Deputy Communications Director of the NPP. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, all of you. And of course, thank you also for doing the viewing and the listening. I am Winston Amo. Eye on the Seat is sponsored by TV3 Network Limited with support from Star Ghana. Star Ghana, strengthening transparency, accountability, and responsiveness through transformational national development and accountable public services for all Ghanaians. Make sure you make a date with me tomorrow morning on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Have a lovely evening.